Well, let's see. I work for Identifix as the Vice President of Product Management and Strategy. I've been with Identifix for the last 8 years and served a variety of roles, from sales to data licensing now to product management. So as Mark pointed out, what we are in many ways is the just-in-time information and knowledge provider for the aftermarket. And you know, Identifix as a company has been doing this now for 25 years, and I often joke that we started the hotline back in 1987 when cars were difficult to diagnose. That's a joke because obviously the technology changes so fast, so much today versus what it did back then when we had tough things like fuel injection and, you know, et cetera. So, you know, who we are and you know, our perspective and what I want to focus on today is the use and availability of information in the service readiness component. You know, we on average take about 20,000 calls a month. Over our 25 years, we've taken 4 million calls from technicians all over North America because we actually support Canada and Mexico as well. So we get a lot of input from technicians and their struggles, as you might imagine. Out of our experience on the hotline, we created our own website-based product, and that's called Direct Hit. And essentially, it's a combination of knowledge and that we developed ourselves and information primarily from the OEs. And as of today, we have a little north of 38,000 shops in the aftermarket using us, and they look up approaching 20 million vehicles per year. So we have a really interesting insight on what they're looking up, how they're using it, et cetera. You know, again, this has been touched on many times today. The vehicle that all of us are working on is more complicated and has more technology than ever before. Just as a comparison, I mean, we did some research and it looks like the 787 Dreamliner has about a little less than 7 million lines of code. The average 2010 Ford has nearly 11 million lines of code in it. So there are multiple computer systems, multiple technologies involved, and you guys all know this because you see it every day. Compound that with some market realities that the market has shifted in many ways. I mean, groups like Midas or AMCO are now working on everything. Everyone's now a generalist that, as it was mentioned before, has to work on whatever comes in the door when, you know, when they lift up the door in the morning. So, you know, the challenges is becoming daunting when you factor in as well that we're now working on, someone mentioned it earlier, I think it was Charlie, the average age of the vehicle is now almost 11 years old. So the shops are being challenged to work on vehicles from the early 90s to 2010, 2011, 2012 that are serviced very differently potentially, as Mark pointed out earlier. Many of our customers have what they do call the 20-minute rule, where they'll spend 20 minutes trying to figure it out, and if they can't figure out or have a good direction of what the issue is, they'll call us and speak to one of our 45 ASEL1 experts. So compounded, there's another additional market reality that's happening is the OEs are introducing more types of models. So again, that just compounds, there's more technology, there's more differentiation of the vehicles out there as well. So the aftermarket shop is faced with all of these challenges, plus on average, about 72% of the shops out there in the aftermarket generate $500,000 in revenue or less per year. And obviously they have a lot of other expenses that need to be taken first before what they can spend on information. So, you know, the final result for us is that's one of the biggest challenges we get is I can't afford to pay for a lot of these information or multiple information sources. So thinking about it, you know, again, based on our experience and our insight, what do aftermarket shops really need from their information source? Well, we think they need 4 things. They need it to be complete because of that broad model range. They need it to be easy to use, especially across multiple manufacturers, because they have to service up to, you know, 20 or 30 different makes who use different terms, etc. Again, they're paid just like everybody else is on how many vehicles they fix right the first time. So it's got to be quick, easy to use, and as we already covered, affordable. So if you look at all the aftermarket information sources out there, including us, we fall into this category. More than 100,000 shops rely on, Mitchell, AllData, MotoLogic, Identifix, et cetera, to get repair information from. On those 4 criteria, I mean, are any of them complete? No, there's a lot of models and model years that are left out. Again, are they easy to use? We think the answer is no, but familiarity breeds essentially economies of scale. Once you learn how to use one of those, it becomes faster to use for all makes and models. And most of them are, between $150 and $200 a month, so they are affordable. So again, no aftermarket solution meets all 4 of those criteria. And as we talked about earlier as well, it's been mentioned, all the OEs have the information available. Well, why don't the shops just use them? Again, using those 4 criteria, are they complete? Absolutely, for the model years covered. Are they easy to use? Again, for the shop that has to use all makes and models because of the different terms, the different website structures, et cetera, we'd say it's not easy to use. Is it fast? Again, if they work on a lot of Toyotas or work on a lot of Fords, they become familiar with that website, but not necessarily the others. Is it affordable? The answer is yes. There are daily and weekly, monthly subscriptions available across a variety of the OEs. But one thing that we've noticed is the perception is they're not affordable because the shops haven't really adjusted their business model to take into account the cost of information, because that is a cost of doing business. And we've seen, especially in the aftermarket, many shops have been slow to adopt a charge or pricing appropriately, as this is a necessary part of any diagnostic and repair, is access to the right information, whatever your source is. One final thing I want to mention, we've noticed an increasing source of frustration as well is the requirement for an OE scan tool to complete many repairs. So, I have a quick example up here. I know you can't read it, but this is one of our shortcut knowledge-based diagnostics paired with OE information, but you can actually complete the repair without, in this case, a Chrysler DRB3 to reprogram the ECM module. So, again, even if they have all the right information sources, et cetera, sometimes they can be foiled by the fact that they don't have a specific tool. They're not ready, service ready on the tool front. So, my conclusion just to end here is, the average user of repair information is just a guy that owns a shop. He wants to service his customers and make a little money. Is there one solution that's a see-all, be-all that meets the 4 criteria that the aftermarket shop owner needs? Today, there isn't. And again, OE scan tools has become an increasing source of frustration and yet another cost. So I think, until someone can solve all those 4 criteria or, deliver a solution that's complete, we're going to continue to struggle as an industry in the aftermarket in particular to meet the needs of the service readiness needs. So that's all I have.